All right, peace, 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 family. How's everybody doing? Today, I'm going to be covering the Saturn square Uranus transit that we are finishing up this year. On December 24th, we will have the last Saturn square Uranus transit. And then I'm also going to cover the Uranus conjunct North Node energy. So a lot of this is going to sound pretty repetitive, but Uranus in general is going to be pretty busy the next year. Uranus is connecting big time with a few different other transits. So, but nonetheless, I thought it was important to cover them all. So in this video, this will be part one to the astrology for 2022. And we're doing Saturn square Uranus and Uranus conjunct the North Node. And then I'll have a few more coming after that. And yeah, we're just going to keep it going until we get it done. So I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're all looking forward to the last month of the year. But yeah, so we're in the final activation of the Saturn-Uranus square. It will come up again at the end of 2022, but overall, it's over. This transit has been the reason for all the disruptions to the Taurus and Uranus transit. Saturn causes delays, hardships, challenges, and problems. We can see cyber attacks in food supply or just in general. I don't know if anybody's been hearing about all the cyber attacks going on. I think Robinhood and a lot of people on YouTube that I listen to, I'm hearing the repetitive story of people stealing their identity on Facebook and other platforms. And so be careful with that, family. Make sure you have some kind of protection or whatnot or whatever on your phone. But this could also be blackouts in technology. Blackouts in for technology, electric, and internet. I think it was Texas, if I am not mistaken, where that story had played out. Their whole electricity went out. Social unrest. And we're seeing that a lot more in these other countries. Australia. I feel like Brazil is one of them too, but don't quote me on that. The Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Mars activations to this will continuously bring up these issues. So just be prepared for that, family. Always keep that in mind, that this transit, even though we'll have the last activation of it on the 24th of this month, it's here in the backgrounds, stirring up all kinds of drama. So Saturn square Uranus will square Uranus on December 24th. The last time we had this transit was 1990. There was a financial crisis. This transit wants social change, but Saturn has more power here. Now, the Mars and Scorpio transit comes in and adds some relief to the people, but overall, Saturn is more dominant. So sticking to tradition, taking the past and making sure that we're reevaluating whether we actually really need to get rid of the past, and how we're going to use these kind of newer things that Uranus is bringing in to build off of that progress in that way. This is a long-term gains transit. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I've talked about Saturn being, you know, this is your retirement, your 10-year plan, your 20-year plan, you know, things of that nature. And so making sure that you have those, so you're at least thinking about them or considering them, and building on whatever you need on the day-to-day to make those things come a reality. If you do anything in the moment, that's when things start to fall apart. And so Saturn just really wants us to be sure that we want this new change. Excuse me. And if we do, what does that look like? You know, and building a strong system and foundation around that. So remember, if things in your life start falling apart for any given reason, just sit with it for a little bit. Evaluate from beginning to end as many times as you need to understand, or try to understand what it is Saturn might actually want you to do. So Uranus is going to bring big change. That's going to send us in a new direction, and there will be physical and material. If you've been stuck and had to pivot a lot, going through a lot of changes, or if you've been hesitant and not making changes, you will be able to break free and change things radically that have been stuck, boring, and stagnant, that you want to move forward with in anything, you know. So I quite frankly was looking forward to this, but you already know I'm always trying to bring the positives and the negatives. And I always say this whenever Saturn is involved in any of the transits, is that you also have to remember that as we are going through these transits, so is the global stage. And you always want to keep that in the back of your mind for whatever you have planned. Just be prepared to possibly run into some kind of issues, depending on what how the global effects could have an effect on your plan. All right. Now Uranus will conjunct the North Node exact July 31st, 2022. We'll feel it most in July and August, but we'll feel it all year. Mercury is going to be in opposition to Saturn, forming a T-square along with Mars. On a personal note, plan lightly around this time. It's really just that simple. Because anytime you have this kind of energy here, it's just things come out of the blue. You can just there's never enough planning. Like there's no such thing as planning with this energy. You could feel like you have everything down to a T, and something out of your control happens and just messes all that up. So don't even stress yourself out. If you have anything going on, flexibility is the key. Be flexible. Be open to having to change at any given time. Plan for the unexpected, because things will change and you will have to pivot, make adjustments, and flip the script. Especially if you have a lot of fixed signs in your chart. This happens once every 15 years. And every time it has happened, it's changed society in a major way. And it's always 1 year after the transit. So Uranus is the sky god. Uranus is the father of Saturn and husband of Gaia, Mother Earth. Uranus really wanted to sleep with Gaia all the time, but Gaia wasn't ready for it. He wanted some more kids, but it didn't happen, which led to infidelity. He went back to his wife off and on for many years until, Gaia was like, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm not doing this. And every time he came back too, they would be normal, like as if nothing happened. And the reason why I added the ancient astrology or the archetype of astrology here is because and there are so many different stories. So I did do a series of this on my IG page a while back. I don't even think it's on IG anymore. I also did it on Facebook too, where I talked about the astrology from the God's perspective, which is called the archetypal perspective in astrology, because I feel like those storylines can give more understanding to specific energies. And when I read that story, it really made me think of, like, this is why Aquarius is so known as emotionally detached. And I liked the perspective of it, from hearing it from, he did want a family, he did love her and he wanted to be with her, but, for whatever reason, things didn't pan out quite the way that he actually wanted them to. So when you think about Aquarius energy and being detached, this is just another way to consider how the Aquarius energy in your chart can be playing out in your life. Maybe you are detached, but perhaps you're not getting something out of a relationship that you want, and you can sit down and take the time to figure this out in your life and reevaluate it. And another way to look at this is that the way I thought about it was more like alone together and learning and understanding what that means to you. I think sometimes this world over time has been a lot more focused on the femininity energy, and we kind of had this operandum of feminine energy. And I think I've mentioned this before. It's nothing new. People know how I feel about that particular conversation, but I bring it up again because another way that I was thinking about this is, how do we incorporate healthy detachment within a relationship without it being emotionally taken out of proportion? You know what I mean? Is there another innovative way that we can think about, having personal space in a relationship, and how important that is, especially if we're talking about longevity? When you start thinking about being with somebody for 20 years, I mean, is it realistic that you're always going to feel the same without some kind of distance? And how do you really do that, again, in a healthy way? And the thought that came to my head, even the song, Flowetry, Alone Together. How can you be alone together? And having these kinds of conversations when you're thinking about relationships and how you deal with that. I think men deal with it by escaping to work. They might overwork, put in some extra time just to get out the house. Women, what do? Do you have your little girlfriends and your nights out or game night or, whatever? Just keeping that in mind. But they are very emotional people. But fear of rejection is something that they must overcome. And the way they do that is through friendship. That was another piece that kind of came through my mind, is building a strong relationship. Friendship, better yet, foundation through friendship before you take the relationship to another level. So Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. Mercury gathers information and Uranus analyzes it. And Uranus rules like higher knowledge. It rules groups and social consciousness. It actually doesn't like being a part of a group, but they have the ability to, I don't want to say control, because I don't think control is the right word, but they have the ability to gather groups of people. And so because they're good at it, what happens here is that Uranus really becomes a problem solver. And so what are you getting a group of people together to? What problem are you solving? And once that problem is kind of solved, then you'll notice Aquarius will kind of like, you know, be on their own merry little way. And that was just another perspective that you could look at how, you know, wherever Uranus and or Aquarius is in your chart. Uranus stays in one sign for 7 years. It'll be moving into Gemini in 2025. It rules humanitarian things, science, electronics, high tech, websites, apps, or apps can advance at this time for sure. Unique talents, where you're original, unexpected losses and gains, child care, tax credit. These are the things that kind of come with this energy. Especially with that North Node in Scorpio. I mean, South Node in Scorpio. But these were the type of things that kind of came through my mind. Fame and overnight success. Uranus has been in Taurus. The ruling planet Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. And will be there until 2026. This transit has been stirring up all kinds of drama, especially with the Saturn square Uranus transit, because Saturn is a malefic planet and holds people responsible for their BS, essentially. You know, that's kind of what Saturn's job is. But Uranus is shocking, out of the blue situations that tear things down and throws you on a different path where you have to reinvent yourself. And that's what it does. And that's what it does to wherever this is playing out in your chart, whatever area it is in your chart, and the society at large. So Taurus rules the body, everything in our life that are fixed and stable, food preparation, agriculture, raw materials, earth, the finances, and material possessions. And Uranus is really going to, you know, shake all of that up. And I think we've already can agree that we've seen a lot of those things being played out. This can result in innovative medical technology, change to digital currency, biohacking, again, that's cyber attacks, new advances in the beauty and body industry, and crazy weather patterns. There could be innovation, technology in agriculture and raw materials like the supply chain and luxury items. The last time we had this transit was in 1961. I don't know if it was exactly the, yeah, it was the last time. It was in 1961. The first man was launched into space by Russia and then America. The audio cassette was invented, and breast implants. The pacemaker was invented. And then again in 1967, Microsoft was founded. Apple was founded, and the first Apple computer was sold. VHS players and recorders were invented. 1991 was the first website. Microsoft processor and microchips. And handheld phones. Those were the first time, those 1991. That seems like it was just yesterday, guys. The Palm Pilot, 2G, also 1991. And then in 2006 was the smartphone, iPhone, Facebook, and Kindle. So just really paying attention to the new technologies coming out, especially around human technology, like human chips, or putting human chips in the human body for certain things. The good and bad to these things are AI, drones, robots, smart cities, and the video games. And I know you're probably like, what the heck is bad about video games? I think they're mind controlling. You know, that's why I put all these things under the darker sides of this energy, because these are things that are and have been built to keep us, to control us. You know, you put a chip in them. What are you putting that chip in there for? And the thing is that they can really use this stuff for anything, you know, and that's the problem. The smart cities I talked about a while back, I think they're doing in China, is where a place they're building where you can, everything's digital. You'll have, it's like, you'll have access to the ability to see into anybody's life as they pass you with your, like a Palm Pilot type deal, you know, so nobody's business is private anymore. You know, and then robots, you know, you've seen iRobots, so you already know they have the ability to change on you, you know, and so those were kind of my thoughts on why I put those on the darker side, and the things that we as people need to, you know, be mindful of to make sure, for whatever, you know, however much we can, just be mindful of the laws and things that they're passing, although, you know, good luck with that, right? But, you know, just something to keep in mind, you know. The time prior that we had this transit, there were disruptions to the food supply, famine, changes to the financial system, riots, outbreaks from political tension, and the right-wing politics. I'm pretty sure that'll be showing up this time around. Free market enterprise. And then again, 1855 was the first photograph. The traction engine. And the first record human voice. The eraser. These are all very Gemini things, by the way. But Taurus is the production that will start now, and we'll see the outcome in 25, sorry. The escalator, postcards, printing machines, typewriter, camera, microwave, and then we did it again in 1687 was a glorious revolution. So how we get accepted in society, how we get rejected in society, and the awkward hidden activists. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that. I don't know why I related those to the people who are like Trump supporters. But, you know, whatever that means to you, I just thought it was interesting either way. But people will want more individualism. Growing, and I need to clarify, when I say individualism, I mean not to be individual, like, you know, remember we're talking about conjunct North Node, Taurus rules family. You know, Uranus is the individual sign, but how are you an individual in a group of people? Remember, that was the lesson that we learned, especially with Jupiter in Aquarius. Right? And so, we are not in support of things that are about doing stuff on your own, because we've already learned that that absolutely does not work. We need to keep that in mind. We can only get through this time if we come together. That is the only solution, but without losing ourselves, right? That's what Uranus is going to say. Yeah. Come together, work together, let's get stuff done, blah, 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 blah. But I need you to know, and you to know, and then you to know that I'm doing this, but I am not changing. I'm not following the status quo unless it's what I really truly want, and I'm not sacrificing myself anymore for anything that doesn't bring me absolute happiness, right? And so when I say individualism, what I'm really referring to from this point of view is having the ability to not be dependent on the government. That's what we're looking for. Freedom from the government. We want them to just give us our money, let us make our own money, let us do what we need to do so that we can do our own thing without them in our business, telling us what to do, how to do it, why to do it. Like, no. So, I just wanted to clear that up. So things like growing our own food, making our own money, gardening, innovation around innovation around anything. Earthquakes, obviously, these things can come with global warming, recycling technology, creating the perfect society is the overall goal. People will be fighting for individuality. You know, these are the things that we can see going on at the borders. We can see a lot more countries separating, and the LGBT or the minor groups will want to be heard. On a personal level, people can be more daring, different, communicative. We can see a separation in the social media, like them all having their own different platforms and being their own thing. Having computer skills is going to be essential. Having some kind of knowledge of technology is going to be very, very, very important. That's all actually going to be like a language. You know how like you have to take a language when you go to school? Computer classes is going to be one of those things where it's going to become a prerequisite, you know. Transforming your career. Where are you going to put your money? Because remember, the banks aren't so stable right now. And so you want to kind of have a backup plan for that. To be quite frank, I don't think investments are going to be quite stable right now, because both of them are in fighting. You know, the governments don't want the banking system to stop, because, you know, that's how they've been making money. And even though through the investments the way they are now, they're still making money off of that. But the decentralized stuff, not so much, you know. And if the more people get hip on this, and they haven't quite gotten around to, in fact, I don't think they can. This is what I've been hearing. So I have a class that I'm signed up for to take, and for NFTs, which is just another decentralized system, and getting more into the metaverse and understanding all of that and how to operate and build in there. And I think it's essential to know. Otherwise, if you don't know anything about investing, investments, decentralized banking, just be careful for that, because you could be doing yourself a great disservice if these things really do collapse. All right. Some of this might result in not being able to pay bills or be self-sufficient, or that's what we're working towards. The ability to be able to do those things. Home luxury can become a thing. Security for sure. Both home security and, you know, being secure in whatever it is you're building, either finances or emotional. The service industry and food industry will probably be the most popular things, or the first ones to be to get robots, you know. No more people working in those fields, so we'll see about that. And the EU will leave, or the EU will chuck some countries out. Leave. So when I say the EU will leave, meaning separate from the system, or it'll end up, you know, replacing, taking some of those countries out. There can be some things with electricity. I think I said that already. There is a possibility for war, but I just don't think, I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I think we already had it, you know, with COVID. And now it's spiritual. You know, they want your soul. And I've talked about that before as well. But no king or queen, or no king or new king. I know that there's some stuff going on and with that over there. So we'll see. That'll be interesting. And then we can have a heat wave around this time. It'll be summertime, or lightning storms, terror attacks. And then, like I was talking about, that opportunity for the universal stuff. So solar panels being universal because we have electricity problems, or the electricity gets too expensive. These types of things here can lead to the possibility, even the banks shutting down could lead to some possibility of, again, having that universal income. So we'll see, family. We'll see. We will see. But this is all I have for you today. I hope that you found this information